Welcome to Week in Horror.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
The podcast that deep dives all the films you love.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The week they dropped in horror history.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
With your horror hosts, JL.
When a shirtless Sam Elliott with no mustache takes out an alligator with an oar, that's the kind of movie I'm looking for.
Eugene.
They were just casually just like, yeah, so that's probably the best way to go, light someone on fire. That's the lead.
Alex.
It would not be an original lineup if I didn't have fucking technical difficulty.
Johnny O.
Now, it's not an Amityville, or wherever it's Amityville.
And Aaron.
They got manure to work with and nothing grew from it.
News, trailers, trivia, special guests, and more.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Live show every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central at youtube.com/weekinhorror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
And wherever you listen to podcasts.
One by one, we will take you.
Week in Horror. Stay scared.
Welcome, horror fans! It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. That means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast from the furthest reaches of experience. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast host, you can join us here on YouTube for our live show, so you too can get in all the bloody fun and maybe win some Week in Horror prizes. This week, we are covering select horror films released October 30th through November 5th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I am JL. With me tonight are Aaron and Johnny O.
What up, folks?
Hi.
He's giddy as a schoolgirl.
They all know why, though. I'm fear of my. I can't even say it. I can't even say it so stupid. I can't even say it.
He can't even speak right.
I can't even speak right. No.
This is what happens when you work in the private sector. They expect results.
Well, yeah.
Not necessarily good results.
Yeah.
A result.
They'll take
You've
us
never worked in the
shit.
You've never worked in the private sector. They expect results. Yeah, Johnny's dealing with it out there, but making it happen. But man, last week of October. I know we're recording this on Wednesday. This is going to go live on the 30th.
It's still the last week of October because 7 days from now will not be October.
This is very true. It is the final week of October. I'm excited. Halloween's coming up. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to Halloween. I love throwing candy. Giving candy to kids.
The candy cannon. Why do you run?
from your unmarked van drilling down the street.
Free candy.
All right. Oh. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome everyone in the live chat. Let's go ahead and fire up the banner there. Boom! There's our amazing Patreon banner. All the amazing individuals who help us to make this show possible. We do appreciate all your support. And of course, we have a few things we want to hit up before we get into tonight's selection, which are obviously you saw from the posters are really, really interesting. I know Aaron really, really loved some of the stuff we're...
That's the word you went to go. You went
with there's things to talk about there, but first and foremost, we have to welcome our newest Week in Horror patron, the newest addition to the Week in Horror patron family. Haley Taylor has joined as a Week in Horror fanatic. We do appreciate that, Haley. Thank you so very, very much for all your support. We do appreciate that.
Thank you, Haley, and welcome.
Yes, welcome to the asylum or something.
Absolutely. All right, and before we jump into our other stuff, because we have some things, actually some interesting stuff that's come up, and I want to get some opinions. I want to get your guys' opinions. I want to get the live chat's opinions. But before we do that, let's see who's in the live chat tonight. Travis Brown is here. Good to see you, sir. One of our amazing patrons. Goregasm is here as well. Thank you so much for being here, bud. Angel Rivera is in the house. Good to see you, Angel. Thank you so much for being here. And I say, oh, there's Aaron. I see you there. Keeping it up with everybody. Denova28's in the house. Good to see you, Denova. Who invited that Stream Elements bot? I didn't invite that guy.
Yes,
Ivy Gentry's here. Good to see you. Since I'm outside in the cold to get a signal. We'll try to
dedication. We appreciate that.
That is dedication. We do. Joshua Lee is here. Says, "Hey, all you Deadites. Good to see you, Joshua Lee. Thanks for hanging out, bud." And I appreciate that. Yes, that was a Ghostbusters. We were having a chat before the show kicked off. just drama in the workplace, just drama, like, because all of us work in the industry, and of course it's the drama industry, it's the entertainment industry. There's always drama.
Here's the thing: when you go out freelance and you have to take some of the jobs that are sent your way because bills,
right?
Sometimes you get stuff that's super fun to work on and you enjoy doing it. You have no problem running out and putting a lot of time and effort and whatnot, because these are people that actually give a shit about the product that they're trying to produce. They actually are passionate, and they understand that it's not just going to take passion. You actually have to let some people who know what they're doing run with your project. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, you get some people who aren't as they're stupid. We call these people stupid.
They have not yet learned to manage their expectations.
That's a very PC way to put it. I will go with they're stupid, because it's not that they don't know better, because they do. They've been shown better. They've been told better. Like, look, even they recognized at the beginning that it was terrible, and the reason why they brought us in is because the people that we're working with and are still working with apparently were bad at what they do. And I don't want to publicly disparage anybody who's in the industry, but the stuff that I was given, just these guys have seen it. They've seen the best of the worst.
That's hilarious.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? It's the drama industry, and within the drama industry, there is oftentimes drama.
Yep.
Always fun stuff. Let's see here. And the George said, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here, bud. It's been a minute. I'm glad you're feeling better, and I'm glad you're settled down, so appreciate you being here. Charlie Welch, the only man on the internet you never make a bet with. Good to see you, Charlie. And I see Gosh of Heckfire's there. Good to see you, Gosh. Says, yo, what up, kids? Not much. Gonna cover some stuff, some interesting things that have come down the horror pipeline just recently, and I'm looking forward to getting everybody's opinions on them, because some of this, I mean... Okay, so I think I caught up with everybody in the chat. Yeah, Johnny O complaining about work is pretty much.
I'm not complaining about work. Here's the thing: at the end of the day, I'm going to say this because at the end of the day, my worst day doing what I do now far beats the best day at the jobs I'd left to do this full time.
Fucking A.
If this is the worst that I have to deal with, I'm doing okay.
NA's here. Good to see NA and Sarah Velez as well is here. A bunch of our amazing supporters are here. So happy to see so many of our familiar faces. Finally found myself free and could join. Fantastic, Sarah. That's good to hear. Thank you so much. All right. So first and foremost, this is the big thing that I want. Okay. First and foremost, we got to do this. So apparently, if you're in the live chat, throw a 1 in the chat if you're a fan of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or of the franchise in and of itself. Okay, so because apparently some news came down, it was reported by Bloody Disgusting, and I got wind of it on social media that there's a big event going on at the down in King. I think it's Kings. Where is it? What's that kind of?
I think so. Kingswood, is it Kingswood?
Let me double check. Kingsland, Texas.
Yeah.
Down in Kingsland, Texas. That is about that. Essentially, it's a big send off for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. That house is still standing. For the last few years, it's operated as a diner, which is called or as a kind of cafe, the Grand Central Cafe restaurant. But unfortunately, the location has been sold, and it's looking like the new owners may tear it down. And that is literally kind of like one of the meccas of just horror locations, because it's really easily accessible. You can drive down 35 to going down towards Austin, and you can see it, and it's just a dang shame. But apparently, there's a possibility the place could be torn down. So on October 29th, they're doing this giant event. This starts at 3 p.m. Central Time. If you happen to be in Texas and you're able to make it and you want to send off, it is completely free. It is a free event featuring live music, food, drinks, costume competition, an award ceremony, and of course they're going to be showing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre at 7 p.m. that night. Special guests will be Ed Neal, who played the hitchhiker, Jerry, who played the van driver, Alan Danziger, and Parrish Randall from Circus of the Dead will be there. So it's a damn shame, but they don't know. So this is basically kind of a giant send off if they decide to tear the house down. But that makes me sad. Like, it's kind of a
oh yeah. Well, it's just like they took in the Harry Potter at Disney. Oh, I think it's Disney World, yeah, it's got to be because Hollywood, where it's at, they
That would
tore
be
down the
Disneyland.
original Phantom of the Opera set to put that thing in.
Right.
It isn't Disney
Sacrilege.
World. Hollywood is Disneyland. That's the original Disney.
Disneyland, yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
in Anaheim.
Anaheim,
Yeah.
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 Screwed up because I lived in Arizona and I had to adapt, and then I came back and I'm still not there because I'm too poor to afford Disney World.
It was expensive back in the 80s, and it's only gotten worse.
I
Oh,
did
see.
it mid 2000s and it was pricey. We'll put it that way.
Look at all those ones in the chat for people who love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. It's been since 1974. It's literally a horror staple. We all know Leatherface. It's a horror icon, and of course, yes, I agree with many people. Denova 28 brings it up, and of course, Sarah Velez brings it up. Travis Brown brings it up that it should be made into a historical landmark. In fact, Travis Brown thinks it belongs in a museum. So absolutely, and it's a damn shame because I hope they don't sell it. Hopefully, and I think somebody
here's
said,
the thing: if they are going to sell it, the film industry needs to get together and buy it and turn it into a historical landmark for the film industry, because it's a landmark. It's,
right.
You know,
Well, I keep thinking.
Go ahead.
Didn't they move the house once already? It's on a different property. Same house, different property. I could be misrecalling, but I mean, it's those houses of that style can be taken apart into sections, moved, and reassembled. So if the land is valuable for something else, put it somewhere better.
Essentially, I think it's a pier and beam house, which, yeah, they can. I mean, the cost is expensive, but they can hoist that sucker up on a truck and move it.
Oh, they could raise money for that. They raise that money in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it was moved from the La Frontera site to Kingsland in 1998 and restored for use. So it's been moved. I mean, if somebody can afford to do it to open a restaurant, then they can afford to do it for, historic purposes.
Yeah.
Hell, if they'd have given some time, 6 months, I guarantee you a GoFundMe would have taken care of it.
I don't think it's been sold yet. I think it's in the process of being sold. I think they're putting it up, but they're having the send off because if it does sell, it'll be before the next Halloween. So I wanted to make sure it's the last Halloween.
Well, this was reported by this came over Instagram from Alan Danzinger, Chainsaw Jerry, who said the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house has been sold. Saturday, October 29th, we will be celebrating Halloween at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house in Kingsland. This is possibly the last opportunity to enjoy the original movie on the grounds of the iconic house. Join us for this free event.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Festivities start at 3. The movie will begin at sundown, approximately 7. Scheduled to appear will be a number of individuals and a number of horror icons. And it's just.
You think Jamie Lee Curtis will be there?
I doubt it. Somehow,
that's funny for 2 reasons, but
I think it is a dubious proposition at best. Oh, so yeah, if
and
you do
before
happen
you
to be...
fuckers roast me, yes, I know she was in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you jackasses.
So definitely, hey Elizabeth Sylvester, good to see you. Another longtime supporter of the show. Appreciate you being here. So yeah, if you're in Texas and you have the opportunity, October 29th, there's a free event down at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. They're going to be giving it a send off, and if it may be torn down, there's no telling. So here's hoping that they don't. Here's hoping that they salvage it and they make it into a historical landmark. Fingers crossed. But if you want to give the old girl a send off, October 29th, 3 p.m., Kingsland, Texas. Texas Chainsaw Massacre House is where you want to be. All right. So, after updating on that, let's see, Sarah Vela says it would be nice if they had someone at least film the last celebration on the grounds to memorialize it. It would be nice, wouldn't it?
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yes. There are extenuating circumstances which is keeping me from being able to do that. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Get that, Travis Brown, the Texas Halloween chainsaw crossover. that would be pretty amazing. So
Order
the next thing,
chaos right there.
So the next thing I want to jump on, and this is something I want to get everybody's opinion on because this is actually kind of interesting. So something went down. Something went down after the Halloween Ends premiere. So Halloween Ends recently dropped. We showed it a couple of times in the Discord server for our members there. Obviously, opinions are
Garbage.
divided on the film. Some people do, even I can acknowledge the major issues with the film, and it's definitely not as good as like the first one. I don't even think it's as good as Halloween Kills. So definitely there's some issues with it. I see what they were trying to do. I already had my say on a previous episode of Week in Horror, but apparently, and this doesn't really have anything to do with the movie, but there was the red carpet premiere, and there was the after party that took place when it debuted and everything. So apparently, Scout Taylor Compton, who people will remember as who played Laurie Strode from the original, or from the Rob Zombie films, from the Rob Zombie remakes, who I thought she did a serviceable job as Laurie. I thought she was decent, And then, of course,
was the best part of that garbage remake, yes.
Right. And then Danielle Harris.
Sorry, Robert.
And then Danielle Harris, who played her Laurie Strode's daughter in Halloween 4, Annie. Oh, so was it Annie? No, she played Annie, and she was also in the. She played Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers, and then of course she played Annie, Scout Taylor, Laurie's friend, in the Halloween remakes. So, apparently, what happens is Danielle and Scout had never been invited to a red carpet event for any of the David Gordon Green or the Blumhouse Halloween films until this one. So Halloween ends as it comes out. They do the big red carpet, and then they're given invitations. They go and they watch the movie. They had kind of divisive opinions about it, but then they go to the after party. And so apparently what we got is after this all went down, Danielle and Scout went on a podcast, and I'm not sure which show it was on. But actually, they've done.
Show, damn it!
It wasn't this one, but they've gone on several podcasts. Well, we would like to do news and reporting, but nonetheless, hey, Mallory's Asylum, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. And so, apparently, what happened was they reported that they were left feeling very, very hurt and were mortified and embarrassed and everything because they were invited to the after party. And so Jamie Lee Curtis was there. And they went with Heather Langenkamp. So Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street, who played Nancy. And then, of course, they tagged along. So it was Nancy, Scout, and Danielle. So the three of them go, and neither Danielle nor Scout had officially met Jamie Lee Curtis at this point. So they took the opportunity, and Danielle goes up and introduces herself, and apparently it did not go very well because Jamie Lee Curtis has stated many times before that she doesn't watch horror movies. This is just not something that she does, and of course she didn't know who Danielle was. So she's like, I don't know who you are. And then when Danielle Danielle was kind of freaking, like kind of frozen. Scout came in to rescue her, and because hey, I played you in the remake for Rob Zombie, and Jamie didn't know who she was either. So the two girls were left feeling very, very mortified and kind of embarrassed and a little bit hurt. And they went on several podcasts and gave several interviews expressing their disdain. Well, this apparently has divided the horror industry.
The industry or the jackasses who watch and are just vocally loud about it, because I don't think there's anything wrong with what happened. Look,
that's a good point.
Here's the thing. Jamie Lee Curtis does not watch horror films, okay? No big deal, right? She doesn't know who these two actresses are. No big fucking deal. It's not like everybody who's ever worked in a film, even in the same film franchise, is obligated to know everybody who's worked in the same film franchise, especially when they haven't even worked in the same fucking movie, right? And on the other side of the coin, both the two actresses were they're right in their feelings. It kind of sucks. Like, hey, I thought we were part of this thing, but I was kind of embarrassed because I just walked up to Jamie Lee Curtis, who's a fucking international superstar, and she's like, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. That was kind of, yes, okay, it's embarrassing and it's kind of hurtful. Sure, it's not like Jamie Lee Curtis is like, fuck to both of you bitches, you're beneath me. That didn't happen. She just said, I don't know who you guys are. Sorry.
And from what I understand, they felt like they were being treated like they were fans.
Maybe they were.
Kind of were, but they were just fans with privilege.
Sure. And
fans with better access than most fans.
Right. And maybe they were. But here's the thing. Again, Jamie fucking Lee Curtis, who is an international superstar when it comes to her resume. She's going to get a lot of people that come up to her at these types of things, like and fangirling or fanboying over her. And she didn't know who these two were. It's not like these two have storied Hollywood careers. It's not like they've been in all these blockbusters where Jamie Lee Curtis would actually have the ability or the opportunity to know who these two are. So
It seems like a
Go
lot
ahead.
of this is just white knighting, where people are, picking up the torch and running with it, which if they went on a few podcasts, maybe there's something to it, but I'd have to check the tone of that. I'd have to listen to at least a few of them to see if they're just relating an anecdote or if they're actually ranting and venting. If so, that's a little unprofessional, but ultimately in the end, I watch what I want to fucking watch. If I make a moral call on somebody because, they get discovered at a Klan rally or something, that's one thing. But just because 2 stars have a little fucking tiff, like, I don't care. Do your damn job. Go act.
Right.
I mean, where it ends.
Well, see, Travis Brown says she's a huge scream queen and she should not have told him that she did not remember that. It's not that she did not. She said, I don't remember you. She said, I don't know who you are.
Right.
And, was she supposed to lie? Like, oh, yeah, I saw those movies. You were great in them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, she's not a disingenuous
Jamie just
person.
does the job, gets paid, and doesn't look back.
Right.
It's just very, very similar. Like Anthony Hopkins has been the same way. He says once he gets done with the movie, once he gets done, like the lines, all the memorization of it all just goes out of his head.
Yep.
Like he could, he has said multiple times, I couldn't tell you a single line except maybe the fava
Everybody
beans.
wants
And
their fava beans and can't.
that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the only thing he remembers from Silence of the Lambs. But as far as anything else, once the movie's done, he's on to the next one. He's
Right.
and then that's what he does. So I fall in this that Jamie is not at fault here. So that's where
I don't think
felt
there's
on this.
any
And
fault, right? There's no
No.
fault. There's just people who there was an embarrassing situation. I mean, and that's going to happen. Is anybody?
But
Hey, Jamie.
I kind of side again. In my opinion, this is like I said, it's people's opinions. I'm actually kind of against. Yes, I understand it was a bit mortifying. Yes, I get that. It was kind of like this is Jamie Lee Curtis. She is literally a Hollywood legend. And then you roll up and you have this expectation. Your expectations were not met. Managing expectations.
Right.
And your expectations were not met. And then all of a sudden, but now what could have just been you know what? She didn't know who we were because she just watched horror movies. Let's move on with our lives. No, now it's an opportunity to kind of capitalize on that and go and tell this story and blah, 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 and drum up whatever freaking drama to get people talking about them. So whether or not they're doing it because they're legitimately hurt, or whether or not they're doing it in order to make them more relevant in the media's eyes, so maybe they could pick up a couple more movies, I don't know. I can't say to either one, but what I can say, typically, this is not something that should have been utilized because not because it's going to cast a shadow on Jamie Lee Curtis. That's never going to happen. And not because it could potentially make them look bad and make them look petty. The whole point is that stuff like this should not be dramatized in order to, for whatever effect. It's literally just like, you had a bad expectation. Why would you want to publicize that if unless you're trying to get something out of it? It is weird Hollywood drama, but the big result is all it's going to do is cause division amongst the fandoms. Because now people are going to be, chomping at the bit saying blah, blah, blah against Scout and Danielle. People are going to be chomping at the bit, saying blah, blah, blah about Jamie Lee Curtis. And that's not what the community is about. And I do not like it I personally don't like it when drama, when your stereotypical bullshit Hollywood drama rears its head in this particular community, because that's not what the community is about. And it doesn't happen all that often. This is not the community where this goes down. And I think it's ugly. And
yes,
that's
Mallory.
the thing, though. It's the horror community. We argue about everything. What the hell are you talking about? Like, I've gotten in fights with people over whether him not having missed her breath at the end of the thing meant that he was the thing. If you're not getting along in the end, it's not their fault. It's because you're an asshole that had a grudge and was looking for somebody to take it out on.
Oh, here's
That's true. That's true. Jason does have more kills than any other icon, and I will die on that hill to the day.
Whatever. Let's take a look at this, right? So let's say these two, Danielle and Scout, they're going out and they're trying to use this story to help put them in the light because they want more acting gigs. Good for them. Good. It's what you're supposed to do. It's what they all do. They all put themselves in the limelight.
It is the nature of the beast.
It's the nature of the beast, right? I don't think that's what's happening. I think what happened was somebody saw it or somebody heard about it. They asked them about it, And now because they answered it over here, now there's this other place. Let me ask a question about it. So they're going to answer it over there. So they don't look like fucking cunts. And then, well, let me ask about it over here. Then they ask about it over here. They answer it over here. It's one of those things that starts out as a fucking snowflake and ends up as a goddamn avalanche over shit that is so stupid to begin with. This is the stupidest fucking thing. I understand if they were hurt. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the feelings are invalid. What I'm saying is this whole business about, well, Jamie Lee Curtis, fuck off. Or Scout and Danielle, well, they're so bitches. No, fuck off. They're allowed to be in their feelings. They're allowed to say what they want to say. Jamie Lee Curtis is also allowed to be like, I don't know who the fuck people are. Shit, could have been fans. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I think it's it's the stupidest thing.
And we work YouTube. We understand you ride the waves. I mean, if any story with Jamie Lee Curtis helps them, like, I would jump on it. Like, I don't think I'd try to demonize her. I'd be like, I'd forgive her, but at the same time, you work the media you've got.
Absolutely. I mean, make a joke out of it. Like, oh, I was so fucking embarrassed because I walked up to Jamie Curtis. She had no fucking clue who I was. And I played her role. We played the same character, and she has no clue who I was. I was so embarrassed.
Well, and to give and to her credit, Danielle did kind of try to, put out the fire. Try to walk it back a little bit. Be like, she's extremely busy, and obviously, this is the big premiere. Red carpet events are always exhausting, and of course, she's here at this after party. She's making an appearance, and she's taking pictures with people, and it's just chaos all over the place. And we get that, and that she does, like I said, she doesn't watch horror movies. There should be no expectation. So she didn't falter. She just came away. So she came away feeling just kind of like a little let down on that, and I get that. Meeting your heroes can oftentimes be a kind of like disillusioning experience because you meet them and it's not exactly how you played it in your head because you build it up so much in your mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I almost could have come away the same way when I met Stan Lee. Because Stan Lee, before he, it will always be a personal hero.
Yeah, but it's not like you play fucking Wolverine.
Exactly. So, but I met him, and it was brief. It was fast. I got out what I wanted to say, and then it was like, wow, that really didn't go the way I thought. But you know what? Doesn't matter. I met him.
Yeah.
And I talked to him. He looked me in the eye, and I was like. And that was awesome. So
Sarcasm, I vastly disagree with you. I think it should have been part of the franchise, but I think it should have been the way the franchise went, continuing with an anthological type thing, different stories over different Halloweens.
That would have been awesome.
But anyway,
yeah, definitely. All right. Well, if you have an opinion regarding this or no opinion at all, if it doesn't even matter to you, I'd love to hear what you all think. Definitely let us know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Is it just nonsense, just fanboy nonsense, whatever, drama to drum up opportunities and, and to like kind of get in the limelight for possible movie opportunities. Who knows? But
it's also podcasts doing what they got to do because they got to have, they got to have spicy shit to talk about. We're doing the exact same thing, right? Spicy take on whatever, or we got to have the take so we can talk about it so we can get people to listen to us. And I understand it's the nature of the beast. I just think that the horror community needs to calm their fucking asses down. Just a lot.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, I found it to be kind of intriguing, and it was getting kind of ugly out there on the social medias as it often does, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Goddamn
but you know what? It's just people entitled to their opinions, however you want to come across it. I don't think that Jamie Lee Curtis obviously shouldn't be demonized with this. Scout Taylor Compton and Danielle Harris, they do work. We have talked at great length about movies that they've done, and I've been a real big fan of Scout Taylor Compton and the work that she's done after Halloween, because I thought she's put out some, like, Ghost House was really, really good, and she was really good in that. So she's done some solid work. They all have. I just think that this kind of drama mining is just unnecessary. But that's just my 2 cents.
It's not like anyone killed a baby. All right.
Right.
This is true. And the last but not least, before we move on, just to give everybody an update. So, yep, I am still involved in the Face of Horror contest. The cutoff for the next round to go to the semifinals is tomorrow, Thursday, on the 27th. I know this is going out later than that, but this is mostly for the live stream audience. So I'm currently involved in that. If I make it to the next round, to the semifinals, I will be doing the Surströmming challenge. Everybody is telling me I'm going to regret it. It shipped, it's delivered, it's here.
Is it swollen?
No, it's just it comes in a metal tin.
No, I understand, but a lot of people are talking about they get the metal tins and they're fucking swollen because that shit ferments inside. And
no, it simply said it came when I opened it up, It was wrapped, like the tin was wrapped in butcher paper, and when I opened it up, there was like a little note there that says tip, refrigerate when you receive it. It can actually go without refrigeration for several days, but they recommend once you get it, before you open, just refrigerate it until you keep it refrigerated until you open it. So I have, it's currently sitting in the,
to condense the contents to reduce any pressure from fermentation.
Yeah.
So it's sitting in the fridge right now, and the sweet flatbread that came with it, because I ordered a box of that, is sitting in the kitchen. So I will be taking that challenge if I make it to the semifinals. The cutoff is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central. So, to determine if I'm going to go there. I'm currently still in first, and Aaron Reese just put the link there in the live chat, and of course it's in the description below, so you can go there and be voting. It is double voting right now until 10 p.m. Central Time tonight. So all votes count double until 10 p.m. tonight. And I know that there's a dude in there who is trying to give me a run for my money, named, goes by Russell. I actually found him. I found his YouTube channel.
Are you fucking kidding me? Leave him alone. Let him be.
You will drop out of the race.
I actually found him. I found his YouTube channel. But he's working it. He's doing the best he can, and so am I. So if you get those votes in for me, it'd be awesome if I can make it to the semifinals. You get to see me eat some stinky fish. So just keep an eye on that. And of course,
that's not a prawn reference, YouTube.
That is not a prawn reference. It's literally fermented herring. So I'm looking forward to this.
By the way, all of you out there who are curious and may not know who Danielle Harris is, don't search her on Google and look at her filmography and then look at all the pictures associated with her filmography. Don't do that.
What's that look for?
I don't know, but all of a sudden, I'm kind of inclined to be Team Danielle Harris. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Well, yeah. All right. So, man, oh man, there's a bunch of stuff to talk about, but we have got horror movies to talk about. We got 4 we've chosen for this week, and I know that everybody's really excited to talk about our selection, especially one of them in particular, actually 2 of them in particular. At least we end on a good note. Thank you, Sarcasm. I appreciate that. Who says, I've been voting first thing in the morning. If you win by 2 votes, they were mine. All right. So, Aaron, what do we have up first, bud?
All right. First up, from October 31st, 2018, we have Slaughterhouse Rulez. Take a look at that trailer.
Did you get my note about the no-go areas? I cannot have pupils wandering about in the middle of the night. These things always end up in a bloody mess. Welcome all to Slaughterhouse.
This is the school pecking order. At the top, we have the bat. In the middle, Clemsy Lawrence.
Watch where you're looking.
And then down at the bottom, Wooten.
Who's Wooten?
That's Wooten.
I'm afraid Mr. Prigg will be unable to teach today or ever again. He died here. Alone. Anyway.
There's something in the woods.
What the devil?
That hole is a gateway. And it leads straight down to hell.
Now, who wants to buy some drugs? They just ate half the upper sink.
Now we can blow shit up.
Language, Wooten!
Children, save yourselves! To the schooner!
Hooray! All right, I'm going as fast as I can.
You're making me nervous!
Seatbelts, everyone.
Stop worrying. What they're gonna do? Eat you alive.
Delicious.
All right.
You think
Directed by Chris.
Simon Pegg was a Gryffindor or a Slytherin?
I think Gryffindor by the colors.
Oh, please. He's
I don't watch Harry Potter, I swear. Directed by Crispin Mills, written by Crispin Mills, Henry Fitzherbert, and Luke Passmore, starring Jamie Blackley, Hermione Corfield, Asa Butterfield, Jamie Blackley. Oh, twice. Nah, I gotta start editing. Finn Cole, Nick Frost, Simon Pegg, and Michael Sheen. Story of Don Wallace, who gets accepted to Slaughterhouse, this rich preparatory academy. Gets there, and very late in the movie, shit gets real. Basically, it goes through his story of adaptation to it, and they are fracking locally, and it releases an evil that begins to slaughter everybody, and they try to avoid that. Fairly
Aaron,
simple in that regard.
I feel like you missed an easy one there when you got to Hermione.
I know. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, am I gonna cause an international incident?
Could you imagine the joke she got on set? A horror movie or a horror movie set at an English preparatory academy, and her name is Hermione. Absolutely.
That has a Draco Malfoy in it.
That has a Draco Malfoy in it.
Oh yeah, solid.
Oh, that man! The wild thing about this one is that we were just by the trailer, we were laughing. We're laughing our ass, because it's obviously Simon Pegg, it's Nick Frost, Michael Sheen, doing fantastic stuff, and the jokes are there. It's on point. We're familiar with the British humor is fantastic. I know it's some people dig it, some people don't, but this was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, this movie did not pop whatsoever. As a matter of fact, because and I noticed some people were like they'd never even heard of it. Like how did they miss this one? And it was a bummer because like ratings wise, this thing is an approval rating of like 38%. I think this is why you don't trust, critique sites and stuff
Don't
like that.
ever fucking look at any of them sites. Go watch the movie and make your own opinion on it. Because 10 times out of 10, they're wrong. Even if they say it's good for the wrong reasons. It's just, come on.
Exactly.
Well, I don't trust critics. I'll trust viewers to a degree, but still, I'm a weirdo. So I just figure out what
don't listen to me. Don't listen to me when I fucking rail on a goddamn Halloween Ends movie that sucks fucking donkey balls. Don't listen to me. Go watch it for yourself. Experience it for yourself. Now, if the three of us say don't watch this movie, you can probably take that to the fucking bank. But
yeah,
you go chase those donkey balls yourself.
So because the wild thing about it, the film is actually quite entertaining. I really enjoyed it. It's a fun little
fun movie. Yeah,
it's a nice little popcorn flick. It did not go over well, which is kind of a bummer because this was the first movie from Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, production company that they formed called Stolen Picture, is it Stolen Film? I just want to make sure I got it right. So Stolen Picture, a film and TV production company formed by Pegg and Frost, and they're co-backed by Sony. And this was their very first movie. The first movie that they churned out was this one, and it just did not hit at all. As a matter of fact, I think it, budget-wise was $5.2 million to shoot out there because they shot on location a number of really, really nice areas. The Stowe School, Windsor Great Park, but they only box office like $738,000. So this one was a bit of a bomb. And then, of course, on top of that, their next production was Truth Seekers, which only lasted one season on Amazon and then was canceled, which was an absolute travesty in my opinion, because that show was brilliant. So I think, unfortunately, despite
maybe though that got wrapped up. I can't remember that Truth Seekers. That was late. That was 2019, right?
That was 2020.
So I think that one may have gotten wrapped up in the whole, log-a-lurgy shit.
Maybe possible. I just said it was kind of a bummer because given the pedigree behind this, you've got Stolen Film, which is Pegg and Frost working together as a production company. You've got both of them in the movie. You've got Asia Butterfield, who has been magnificent, pretty much everything ever since like The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. If you've never seen that, you've got a solid cast. Michael Sheen is up in there, who just is excellent in everything that he does. And then the movie just flops, which is a damn shame. And I think it's
I just don't think people get the humor.
You think it was that got
I think
into it?
So I think part of the problem is when you see Simon Pegg in horror films, right? Automatically, what do you go to?
It's Shaun of the Dead.
Exactly, right? And then you had, after Shaun of the Dead, you had Hot Fuzz, which was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. And I think the problem they had was the people are still expecting them to capture that Shaun of the Dead energy. and it's just not hitting because Shaun of the Dead was brilliant. It was great. It was fucking hilarious. And the premise of the film was simple, but the execution of it that's where it excelled, right? When you look at this movie, the execution of the premise is great. The movie it looks good. It's put together well. The story is cohesive. It's just not something about it doesn't capture that same energy as Shaun of the Dead.
See, I think the problem is that they did too much of a mashup, honestly, because if you notice, like, the pacing was my first giveaway, is it starts with trying to jam him getting into school in a relatively short period of time, and you see their standard, like, montage of crash zooms. Bang, we're looking at this. Bang, we're looking at this. Bang, we're looking at this. It's really familiar from Shaun of the Dead and stuff, and then they go into more of a school comedy. I mean, and it's a British one, too, which makes it harder for audiences to attach to, but you've seen that in other stuff. So like Skins has some of the humor. It's not preparatory school, but cool stuff like that. And you've got a lot of those, and they seem to run that as a backbone to it, which isn't going to do as well. And then they start the horror itself late. Like, I should have checked the timing, but it feels like at least 2/3 of the film is spent more on school comedy than on horror. And I think people came for horror and they didn't get it. And then, like you said, well, they expect Simon Pegg up front. If you put him in it anywhere in the primary credits or anything, they expect him to be up front and not be a backseat role like he was. So they're not going to get that when they come in. I think if they had picked one way of doing it, even if they were not copying the plot, but copying the style of Shaun of the Dead and some of the other movies they've done, they'd have been a lot better off.
I think you're right. I think the issue is they tried to do too much. They tried to do too many things in their film. I do agree that at times it felt like it had an identity crisis. Is this a Nick Frost, Simon Pegg film, or is this like a not another teen movie type comedy, or is this some kind of horror? Again, back to Shaun of the Dead, what made it good was the way they interweave the horror. They got to the horror much quicker. It made sense. And the funniest part about the movie are the relationships between your characters. And we stayed with the funny guys. We stayed with Nick Frost. We stayed with Simon Pegg. We stayed with the whole idea of the Winchester, all that stuff. It just worked so much better. And yeah, this one did seem a little bit, we're going to go this way. No, let's go this way. No, let's go back this way. No, let's go over here now. It kind of did. So I see what you're saying there. And I think probably right.
Yeah, the film in itself was a bit on the disjointed side, and I agree with Aaron on that one. Is that the first act is pretty much all about development. It's establishing everything, but you have to establish not only your primary character, all of the characters around you. You have to establish the school. You have to establish backstories, and all of this stuff is coming in like bam, 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 bam. So you have all of this data. Then, in the second one, is establishing all the school hijinks, all the goofiness, all the weird cliques, and all the weird rituals, and all the stuff, and of course the history of the school itself, and how that's going to play into the third act, which then is where the horror suddenly drops. So it does kind of like jump around and can make it feel a bit disjointed. But I think that, Johnny, you hit the nail on the head with the idea that Sony was bad, that Sony co-backed the production, and this was the first one from them. So this is their production company. But, as was pointed out by Denova28, I think they made Simon and Nick secondary, and they were secondary in the film. They're not either, the two characters only actually see each other in the movie one time. Yep. They have one scene together where they run into each other, and then they go their separate way. They have a quick, like back and forth, and then they go their separate ways. Right. That's pretty much it. So I think
which is the waste of those two characters, because if you look at anything else they've done together, they're funniest when they interact together.
When they're together, because it's the chemistry between Nick and Simon is what made Shaun of the Dead, and then everybody kind of like in their orbit, and how. And so I think the problem is that, and I was going to say, is like when the credentials you've established don't really pop off. But I think what the problem was that they were kind of betrayed. It's not really betrayed, but I would say it's when people have an expectation of who you are, what you're going to bring when they hear Simon Pegg and they hear Nick Frost together. And they're going to anticipate things like Shaun of the Dead. They're going to anticipate, or Hot Fuzz. They're going to, or The World's End. Some sort of interaction between the two that's going to be prolonged, and that's where the comment, or like Paul, and that's where the funny is going to be. But unfortunately, that's not what took place here. They're technically, they're both, I would say, low, background secondary characters, and they really are only there to drive the plot. And not to mention the kind of I think the tertiary storyline of him and his girl, who's played by Margot Robbie, and who's breaking up with him over his iPad because she's in South Africa doing relief work and he's stuck in England. So there's so much stuff going on. It's a bit disjointed, and I think that Sony and what they were hoping was that they could capitalize on their name recognition and their brand recognition of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost going all the way back to Spaced. But it just didn't pop off the way they thought it would. And that's why audiences were coming in kind of expecting one thing and then left disappointed because it's not what they were getting. But then again, looking at the way they marketed the film, and it was someone in the live chat brought up the marketing, this was not marketed as a Simon Pegg and Nick Frost vehicle. Mm-hmm. This was just them. They were cast in the movie, but Michael Sheen is up there at the top, and then everybody else, and then of course Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are there as well, right. Just as kind of these kind of expository, or plot jeeps is all they really were. So, I know it's difficult sometimes. You get that kind of success, you kind of end up pigeonholing yourself a little bit, and it can happen to a lot of people in the horror industry, especially in the horror industry. You get good at doing one thing with a horror element. People are going to anticipate that every single time. You break away from that, people kind of and they back off a little bit, which is just kind of the nature of the beast, and it's also kind of a damn shame because those people who didn't see this movie really missed out.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would say that Simon Pegg has been pigeonholed because he's done a lot of good. He's done a lot of stuff outside of the horror genre for certain, and a lot of stuff outside of the Nick Frost Simon Pegg thing. Of course, he was in the Star Wars. He was in Star Wars.
He was in the Star Wars.
Star Wars on the brain 24/7, man.
Well, yeah, but he was in Star Wars briefly. But more importantly, he was in the Star Trek remakes or reboots, playing Scotty. Did a fantastic
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I mean he's very talented.
He's an extraordinarily talented actor. I would almost say almost chameleon in respect to that he can, because I've seen you go. There was one movie, I can't remember the name of it, where he played an assassin, a hitman, and he was actually quite good in that one. There was one where he played a killer who was locked up in the basement or locked up in this bunker because he knew too much about this rich guy, and so he was locked up. He's the variety of things that he has managed to take on are magnificent. He was also really great in Doctor Who. And Nick Frost also has that ability as well. I've seen Nick Frost branch out and do a bunch of stuff outside the horror genre. But he's Kill Me 3 Times. Thank you, Angel Rivera. Thank you. It was Kill Me 3 Times. So I've seen them do lots of stuff. But there's those individuals that you work so well together with, and you have that shorthand with, and the trio being Nick Frost, Simon Pegg, and Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright, yeah.
So, which may have been the missing element. I honestly think may have been the missing element in Slaughterhouse Rulez.
Well, no, Slaughterhouse Rulez was, when you have Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, you've got to put them together. You have to do it.
Right.
If you want people to not hate you for putting them in this movie. And even if they're going to be tertiary characters, you could Jay and Silent Bob them in the back like Clerks fucking 15. Didn't matter. You still put them in the movie, but you put them together. Like, whatever. He could have been
so technically, it could anybody. So Nick Frost should have. I think Nick Frost nailed the drug dealing hippie.
Yeah, but
the anti guy. But Simon Pegg's teacher could have been played by anybody.
See, and this is where I'll disagree with you. I think they should have made Edgar Wright. He could have been the exact same character, just as a janitor, as opposed to some random fucking, fracker. That role could have been played by fucking anybody. Give it that expository. Go ahead.
Even as characters, they had a great prime playoff. You got the prim and proper boy that's not doing well with his girlfriend, because, to be frank, he's a weeb, and then you got this crazy drug dealer out in the woods, this protester and stuff. You put them together, and, that's a great playoff. But I think the reason Pegg did so well is he started combating that early because he did keep working in the partnership, but he also got out there a lot and got these roles and stuff. So I can't blame them for trying to fight that couple typecast, like Roden was talking about. Are they the new Abbott and Costello? Nobody wants to be tied to somebody, especially nowadays. Vaudeville's gone. But
Yeah,
it
but
wouldn't
as
have
you
been.
said, Simon Pegg especially has worked his way to be doesn't, you know what I mean? He doesn't necessarily have to be attached to.
He's continuously challenged himself to take on new roles, to do new stuff, to branch out as an actor, and to basically, to break new ground in his performance ability. And so has Nick Frost. Nick Frost has done the same. I mean, I wouldn't have expected him in the Badlands, and I thought he was fantastic in that. It was like, he's in this? This is a martial arts action film, and he was fantastic. It was kind of like, oh shit, Nick Frost is in this.
Yeah.
There's a number of things that, I mean, he did a series that I think only lasted 2 seasons with Rupert Grint, where he was playing kind of like a weeb kind of dude himself, which, given his performances, you don't really expect. So they're both extraordinarily talented and very good at what they do, and they don't have to be comedy-centric, and they don't need each other in order to be successful, but I think they kind of worked against them. Was the success of Shaun of the Dead becoming so iconic, kind of revitalizing the horror genre, and saying that we can tell these stories in new ways, and they were the leads on that, and it was their chemistry that brought it all together. Then we get Hot Fuzz, which I fucking adore, and then of course we get at The World's End, which I thought was brilliant, a brilliant close for that trilogy. And then of course, then they try to go out and do different things, and it's just not the same energy, I guess.
Well,
People have this expectation.
They didn't use those two. They didn't use those two correctly. And again, I'm not saying that they have to be. You have to put them in the same movies all the time. No, but when you do it for a reason. Don't fucking throw that away. You don't throw your best hand away just because you want to try something different.
Right.
Yeah, and it's going to set an audience expectation that if you don't meet it, you've shot yourself in the foot. And that's the thing, they're great actors, but everybody in this movie was a really good actor, I think. I mean, the psychopath, the bad guy, you want to murder him, so I got to give it to him. Casper, I think his name was, the character.
Oh, the Draco Malfoy of the group?
Oh, yeah, yeah, but this could have been a really great chance for them to kind of lend their fame to helping out these young actors get a kickstart to their career, but the writers, maybe the director, they did it wrong, because the thing that kills me most about the movie, honestly, is it's trope central. We've seen this story 20 million times. Teenage boy goes to new school. Teenage boy falls in love with girl that's out of his class, does some crazy heroic shit. She falls in love with him. Everybody's happily ever after. That's this movie to a fucking T. It is every single teenage movie since
It's literally Buffy.
Spoiler alert.
80s.
It's literally Buffy.
Yeah.
You know what's gonna happen. I ain't spoiled shit. I mean, you're not gonna drop people on their head on that plot line. The second he talks to her awkwardly at the beginning, you know what the fuck's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Not like she's gonna kick him in the dick and walk off.
I swear to God, I want to see that. I want to see that done one day. I'm going to make a film. It's going to be anti-trope. The bad guy is going to win. The dickhead's going to get the girl, and the nerd is going to end up in the fucking toilet with a swirly. Okay.
Welcome to the dark side, bitches. But yeah. So could have been better, but the question that we have for the audience is, what is your favorite, or do you think is the best Simon and Nick collaboration? You can let us know at weekinhorror@gmail.com. You can drop it in the comments, or you can let us know in the live chat. And
so
I'm with
Aaron, he forgot. There's a part of that question he forgot. It's what is your favorite Simon Pegg, Nick Frost collaboration, and why is it?
And why is it?
Why
is it Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's people out there who love Hot Fuzz. There's people out there who love
I'm not saying
who love The World's End more than Shaun of the Dead.
Too. Yeah.
My wife loves The World's End.
World's End was magnificent because it was not only fucking hilarious with the two of them playing kind of like off one another and like diametrically opposed characters, just like we were friends but now we're not friends. And so that was just beyond the movie's hysterical, but also because it was poignant. and it went into a serious place.
Yeah.
Where we had to deal with real drama despite all the chaos going on, and it just that movie hit me.
It had Rosamund Pike in it.
And it had Rosamund Pike, yeah, that's true.
She's a very talented actress.
It reminded me of a horror film that Jason Mewes directed. If you can believe, like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob directed a movie called
the vampire one.
No. It was called Madness in the Method, and it was Jason Mewes' directorial debut, and he starred. And essentially, he plays a version of himself trying to break into Hollywood, where he's essentially playing himself, and he's trying to break into other roles, but he can't get past the Jay thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's like pigeonholed as Jay. And it's this really intriguing character study of a guy coming to grips with, you know, what he wants to do and what his dreams and passions are and what the industry is demanding of him and won't let him do anything otherwise. And it shows he's got these moments where he's a really good actor. And like he can deliver lines and be really solid, but then people just have this expectation, well, we really kind of wanted you to be Jay.
Yeah.
So can you read for this part? And he was like, and then it turns into a slasher film because he winds up getting it. And Danny Trejo's in it. He's brilliant and hysterical. But it reminded me of that because there's a moment when Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes are together and they're just talking to themselves. And they get into a verbal altercation about how Mewes is trying to do this and is now pissed off that he's Jay. And then he mouths off at Kevin, and Kevin goes off at him for being like, you know, you've been riding my coattails all these years, and the reason you're successful, and I keep having to do this for you, and literally I brought you along in this ride, and now you're biting the hand that literally helped to make you, and I've never asked anything from you for doing this. And so they get into this fight that seemed way too real to me, like shockingly real. It was impressively. Plus, you know, yeah. So he was. I recommend that. So World's End was fantastic, but I do have to go with Shaun of the Dead. It's still my favorite.
It's kind of what I mean. You can
Fuck
go back
things up and make me look stupid. Well, I'm not gonna let you do it again. Look at me, just right in the middle of this shit.
Right.
I like Hot Fuzz, but maybe that's just because I got a massive man crush on Bill Nighy.
Yes, I can. I'm the chief inspector. I fucking love him in that movie. He's fantastic. All right, Johnny.
We're skipping this one.
We're not skipping this one.
Can we skip this one, please?
We're not going to talk about it too much. I know that.
Good.
Because there's not.
We're going to try and show you a trailer, but
the faster you rip the Band-Aid off, the faster we'll get through it.
we're talking about 2006's Darkworld. Show that stupid ass fucking trailer so we can talk about the stupid ass fucking movie.
Oh my god! It's just so much hate.
You made me watch this fucking movie.
Wash off
Damn
your
it, Gio,
hate.
get this thing out of my ass already. It's uncomfortable.
Oh, let's check out this trailer.
If you can produce the kind of loot that your boy Brian here promises, we just might become good friends. Where the fuck is the rest of the loot?
Hey.
Fallon?
So fucking stupid.
Tonight, payment will be made. I want the soul of your eldest daughter.
If we don't leave this place, everything and everyone dear to you will be destroyed.
Our demonical Fallon has decided to betray us.
Johnny, look on your face.
Darkworld.
Before you summarize this, I want to read, without spoiling, You spoil the shit. A quick description from somebody that left a review. Darkworld is a very low-budget production shot in some neighbor's house instead of a studio, and the actors are basically using an opportunity to show their Halloween costumes. But if your expectations aren't too high and you think having fun is more important than a totally professional product, let me assure you, I didn't regret my time spent watching this movie. And I think that sums it up better than anything else.
I think it does.
Yeah,
I actually think it does.
Yeah. So, Darkworld.
Wow, the reactions to the trailer are fucking brilliant.
Directed by David Palmieri. Ted Chambers is a writer, I guess. Starring Gina Valona, Sean Wigg, Adian. Who gives a fuck?
Aiden Maris, Paul Michael Bolin, Mara Marie.
Shut up, I'm reading the
Jones
goddamn thing. Fine, you do it. You do it.
Steve Jones Watson.
Jesus Christ.
Some asshole. Some other asshole.
Yeah.
His asshole cousin.
You start out with three dumbasses who are looking for loot, because that's what fucking burglars call it, loot. For fuck's sake. What are we, 1948? So stupid. One of them gets shot by a shotgun in the head, but doesn't lose her head because...
In the abdomen.
Who gives a fuck? Doesn't lose her abdomen. She's got a little scratch where she gets shot with a fucking shotgun, because that's what'll happen. And somehow, some way, Daddy makes a deal with the devil after she's fucking dead. It's just so stupid.
Okay.
I wish I could say shit gets real, but it doesn't. It gets real bad. And here's the thing. Let me say this first before we do this. I'm gonna say one thing first. I know I shit on a lot of movies. I know I do. And most of the time is for comedic element. I do want to congratulate these people for getting something in the can.
Right.
Although I think that's where it should have been left.
Get it in the can and then get it in the trash.
Can and then Okay, so the reactions in the live chat to just the trailer. I know we had people in the live chat who actually watched the movie, because we put up the posters for the movies we're going to be talking about, so people can watch them and they can hear what we think about them as we break them down. So just to go through this, let me see here. Sarcasm says, the bad news is I was actually able to find it streaming. I want my hour and a half back. Fenrir MP just said, good to see you, Fenrir, says, ha 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 ha. Darcy Vanberg says, no, this is not going on the list. And Sarah Vella says, I don't know if I can compel myself to watch this one. Let me see. Genova28 says, what the fuck is this? It almost reminds me of a Neil Breen movie.
A Neil Breen movie would be an improvement.
Actually,
this
has
is one step
value.
better than Witchcraft, only because something happened.
And the George said, this looks like the movie equivalent of those edgy PS2 games that looked horrible and played worse. And it's actually funny because I actually messaged, when I was watching this movie, I messaged Aaron. And it was like, dude, the PS2 graphics.
So bad.
The PS2 intro.
It's like, okay, it's 2 a.m. Saturday night going into Sunday morning. You turn it on, and that damn show with Pamela Anderson called VIP or some similar thing is on. The casting, the acting, the way the credits are done, the fact that they tease you with tits, but you never get tits, which is the capital sin. Just like low end. I mean, like not even creative effort into it. They might as well have just copied the playbook.
So, the big thing about this, oh man, I see Sarcasm says, God, it sucked. Darcy Vanberg, there's some grass I'd rather watch grow. Wrote no last name, good to see you. Gabba Gabba says, this was a terrible Underworld sequel. Gosh, if Heckfire says, that sure looked awful. And okay. So, oh yeah, Mr. Lord says, sorry, not here, Cabinet of Curiosity calls. And absolutely, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities is on Netflix, and I will be checking that out after the show. I've been waiting. So, because I've just been busy here in the office, but I'll be watching that tonight with Angela. It's going to be a lot of fun. But when it comes down to this one, the big, and yes, you're right. So Aaron is right. There is no tits in this. There actually is. There's one set of tits, and it's the hell chick. But the problem is that the way they light it, you can't tell. You can't tell because it looks like
giant nipple.
It's literally like just all bathed in such dark red light that you can't really see any detail. So there might as well be no tits in this. And there's not even really any sex either. It's just Really, really goofy violence. So the production on this obviously was very, very bad. This was an extremely sophomoric effort. But the big thing about this one is that, and why movies like this, I feel are important. Even though Johnny's would deride it, we can talk shit about it. We can lambaste all the production problems and all the missteps, which we can, because the movie does fall apart. But the whole point is that films like this serve as really excellent learning opportunities. Learning from your first efforts is always paramount. It's like you can look and see what other people are doing. And yes, I would expect this from like a college course. It's like a college student film.
If you turn this in, even in 2006, if you turn this in as your college thesis, you're failing.
That would be pretty bad. That would be,
It should be like your, high school entry level to get into college. Like, all right, well, he's at least shot something. I feel sorry for this guy. So let's put him in the program. Maybe he can learn. He seems like he wants to, but.
Gotcha Fire says, there are free tits on the interwebs. I'm just saying. And
yeah, but that's not the point. The point is, if you're going to have a schlock film, you have to put the stuff that goes with the schlock.
It's like finding a $20 bill in your couch. I can go to a bank, but I'm much happier when I accidentally run into a $20 bill doing something else.
Joshua Lee asked, but is it as bad as Howling 7? At least something happened in this movie.
Yeah.
At least there was like action, and there were like kind of monsters. They tried. Action. They really did try. That's what I'll give. We can give them credit for getting it in the can. That's always a pain in the ass. Imagine trying now, Johnny, as an editor. Imagine trying to slog through this edit fest.
Like I said, it really, in all honesty. I mean, we can make fun of the technical look of it. We can make fun of the lack of direction, the lack of any kind of real production design or any kind of technical prowess of this film. At the end of the day, it's extremely difficult to get something start to finish filmed, let alone filmed and released.
Especially an hour and a half movie.
Right, yeah. So again, that's a feat in itself. And anybody who can manage to do that, regardless of what I say, right? Even JM Truth, when he puts out his bullshit, but getting that stuff out, right, we can at least celebrate that. Like, look, it may not be something that I would ever watch without being made to by some guy who may or may not be sitting next to me, but they did it. They put themselves out there, and here we are shitting all over their movie.
And unfortunately, okay, yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
I was just gonna say, like, they might get somewhere. I think their biggest problem is the fact that they're at a moderate technical level as far as their production and everything goes, but they're at a very amateurish creative level because it's got that sort of preteen fanfic vibe where this is cool, let's throw it in, and they jam it all in, and then they try to work a plot around it instead of working out a plot and then working from that, because you've got elements from Underworld, which it's ripped visuals from. You got like Laurel K. Hamilton stuff I saw, Supernatural, just all this stuff, and they've crammed it all in. If the terrible thing is to say that they are going to need to learn from failure. Like, it's always, it's never a failure. It's never a failure. If you learn something from it, they're going to have a hard learning process. I mean, they're going to get lambasted in the process. I mean, you got to keep a thick skin and a good sense of humor as far as it goes. They might get there. Who knows? I don't think they'll do it as a whole production, but you might have some people that break off and do something really good.
Mm-hmm. There's 28, yes, I will say one good thing about this movie. It ended.
So one thing I can say, the director of this, David Palmieri, he went out and he did his thing. The big thing about he's a grip, and this is what he professionally works as. He's worked on like a huge amount, like huge films. Like he's worked on How to Get Away with Murder. He's worked on Grey's Anatomy. He's worked on Lucifer, Rush Hour. He worked on several Marvel films. So he's literally professional grip, and this was his opportunity. One of his opportunities. He's directed a few films. Darkworld was his first. So he has progressed on from there. So
and that's the best part about it, right? Doing this type of stuff. I mean, I've got shit like this in my fucking catalog that won't ever be seen. But the point is, you do it, you get the experience of doing it, and then you use that to learn where do we go wrong?
Right.
Here.
And you know where he applied that? Because this was 2006. You know where he applied that knowledge? Because he directed Witchcraft 14, 15, and 16. Aaron's face.
I got chains on the back of my truck.
What I want to ask the audience is...
So the point of this one is that, and I would recommend, just for like horror lovers, if you really, really dig the horror genre and you want to just see
anything
things,
else.
you could definitely watch anything else. But if you are a filmmaker, I would definitely recommend this, because while the film does fall apart, you will definitely see what they were trying to do and how they were trying to pull things off. But the big takeaway that I had on this was, like, number one, the writing was absolute shit. I could write better shit in my sleep, and I have. So I would say the writing was crap. So that's important. You just be solid on your script before you decide to move forward. But the big thing is all about having a plan, is planning stuff out. You could tell that there were a lot of things that happened along this production. There were problems that he ran into as a first-time director that he probably didn't, anticipate or didn't have a plan for, or he really didn't have a crew around that he could trust in order to kind of like solve problems as they come up. That's one of the big things about getting a production done. Now, I know that you watch this movie, you can see they fought through it, and they did the best they could. It was his first effort, and he has done it. He's still working out there. 14, 15, and 16 Witchcraft, I think he's improved a little bit. Sometimes it takes time, but but definitely give it an opportunity.
Here's the thing. Is he making money in the industry that he wants to be in?
Right.
Is he having fun doing it? At the end of the day, people may not like the stuff that I put out, which is perfectly fine. You might want to shit all over it as I've shit on them. Perfectly fine. But I'm having fun. So if he's having fun, if he's doing what he wants to do, fuck it.
Right.
Make this shit. Make the schlock. Who cares?
So before we move on to the next one, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's nothing unforgivable that's happened here. It's not great. It's also not mediocre, because that's what kills me is mediocrity. It's a 1 out of 10, but at least it's not a 0 out of 10. So
he's not a negative 0.
He'll get there.
Yeah. We've definitely, I would say we've definitely watched worse.
Oh yes.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
Tonight.
But that's not a bar we
will see worse.
You shouldn't be like, well,
I am not polishing the turd on this one. There's really nothing to polish. This is all about what you can get out of it as a professional filmmaker by watching this. And you can see, when you get the opportunity to see the missteps that come along in a production, that naturally come along, you can see them in action and see the choices that were made. The more you watch this stuff, the better it makes you as a filmmaker. Because you'll be able to say, when you run into it on your own production, and you say, oh, I remember that, and I know what not to do now. That's what's important. That is the big takeaway.
Here's a fun exercise to do. You take something like this, right? You take a scene out of it and then reshoot it.
Yeah.
And see how you do it differently. I mean, it doesn't have to be for anything other than your own your own learning process, right? So take a scene out of here, like the scene that happens in the bathtub where I don't even know what the fuck happens, because whatever, and then reshoot it.
He booted up the PS2 and he came through the bathroom door.
But yeah, reshoot that and figure out, well, you gotta think this is 2006, so special effects, especially on micro budgets, were damn near non-existent. It was very difficult to do. This wasn't but 10 or 11 years after Jurassic Park, so CGI was still in its infancy. Well, I guess early childhood, but you got to think about these things. So go and do something like that. See a film. I don't really particularly care for this, but let me reshoot a scene just to see what I would do differently. And then you can use that. You can use other people's mistakes to further hone your craft.
Right. So I have to ask. I have to kind of go around the table here. So at what point, and I don't care where it's at what point in the film did this kind of bottom out? Did the bottom kind of fall out? The opening
bottom.
It started at the bottom. that fucking weird ass. It's so. I mean, it's like, come on, it's like the PowerPoint presentation. What am I looking at?
I seriously, at one point during this opening credits, I thought it was like one of those little advertisements you see for a book that's been published. It's just because it's really something really cheap done. Aaron, where did it kind of fall out for you?
When they had the goatee trailer park redneck demon talking like he was Aleister Crowley. My dear, don't call me Mister. I prefer Master. You just, what the fuck? Casting. When that happened, I was like, all downhill. Fuck it.
For me, it was the chunks of plastic they stuck on her head to make her look like a demon, to make her look like she had horns. That is where I was like, I'm like, because you look at it just from a special effects standpoint, like they try to do a lot in practical effects.
Yeah.
And it can be difficult to do. I think they spent the vast majority of their budget on the giant winged demon-looking fool who at the end who really doesn't do much, but who looked way better. Huh?
I don't think they had a budget.
Oh, they had some budget here. I mean, you can always find change somewhere outside the drive-through window.
Somebody owes a lot of credit card debt.
Yeah. So, but it was when she has the horns. That was just ridiculous. And they could have done absolutely. They could have done away with those. They didn't need them. They could have simply said, her eyes change. She acts this certain way. That's fine. That's cool. But that just drove it over. It was like, this is absolutely fucking just this. No.
Yeah.
So a lot of missteps that were made in this way. It looked like they got Sarah Velez. It looked like they got a makeup kit from a dollar store. It absolutely did.
Yeah, but even that makeup kit from a dollar store can be made to look good.
Sarcasm. You mean the singer from Gwar?
That would have been better.
Looked like she'd been in a car wreck wearing like cat ears. Just
they just
on her forehead.
This is true. So, it was 2006. What can you say? But definitely, if you are a burgeoning filmmaker, I think this is an opportunity you can look and see. It's like, I know what not to do. And you would watch this solely for the learning experience. Be like, you see how they, and I think a big one on this one is pretty much everything. The scoring was bad and just really weird. And then, of course, the editing was just not great, especially for the fight scenes, was not good at all. And then, of course,
I would have made different choices. But then again, we're assuming they had multiple angles and, footage to edit from.
If they were only shooting with one camera, that would have been really hard.
This seems, a lot of people only shoot with one camera, but they'll get multiple angles. I just don't think they were doing that. They were just like, hey, we're going to get this angle. That's all we're going to do. We got time for one take. Let's do it in one take. And we got what we got. We'll go with it. So,
yeah.
And I can understand that working with a micro budget when you don't have time to do multiple takes. Here's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just, maybe put this one on the shelf somewhere and go back and laugh at it with the rest of us whenever you.
Sarkis says the cat fights were the best part.
All right.
A shot of porn under a pseudonym and then use the money to pay for a real movie.
There you go. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. But here's the thing. This is D-horror at its finest. I'm not sure if that's the right adjective or not, but whatever. Speaking of D-horror film, what I want to ask the audience, what's your favorite D-horror film? If there is anything that's better than this, please let me know in the side chat, in the comment section, or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. What's your favorite D-horror film? Crocodile... What was it? What was that stupid fucking one we saw? What was it called? Super Croc.
Super Croc, the Asylum film.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Venomous had to be one that I saw that had CGI snakes.
Yeah, any one of those, Venomous, or any one of the Anacondas 3 through whatever it is now.
Oh yeah.
Lake Placid 2 on.
There's
Anaconda versus Lake Placid. Fuck me.
Joshua Lee says The Unearthly. Denova28 says The Visitation. Angel Vera says Krampus? Really? I thought Krampus was good.
Maybe he's thinking of something that...
And the George says Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. Joshua Lee says Boggy Creek 2. Sir says got to go with Lamageddon. Ooh, Velocipaster.
I would say hold all answers until we talk. next movie.
All right.
I don't think we can show this trailer. It's just going to be one black bar across the screen.
No, we can show this trailer. The trailer's okay. Unlike Terra Firma. I watched the trailer. You've watched the trailer, right?
Maybe I did.
I didn't even finish the movie, JL. It hurt too much. Fuck the trailer.
I'm pretty certain we can show this trailer.
Oh, you go right ahead. There's a lot of...
Well, we're about to find out.
There wasn't any boobies in this.
There's a lot of floppy dicks, though.
There's
Dude.
Okay, hang on a sec. I have it queued.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's my turn. I'm up. The movie that we're talking about released November 3rd, 2007, and it is Goregasm. I'll poll you guys. Should we show the trailer?
I mean,
I don't remember there being any.
There's floppy dicks in there.
Well, yeah, on the killer. But there's no real stuff.
Look, they're gonna age restrict it. Just there you go.
I mean, the killer doesn't have it doesn't have a mushroom head or a foreskin, so we might be okay.
Yeah, it's a shitty fucking grainy.
Okay, we'll take a risk. We'll show the trailer. So, viewer discretion advised. There's a lot of floppy dicks.
2022, but you know.
All right, we'll take a look. So, viewer discretion. Oh, Raven Dark says, "Wait, where's Eugene?"
Safe
all right.
Week.
Yes, yeah. Saw the trailer. My mouth was open the whole time. So, viewer discretion advised. Here is the trailer for Goregasm.
So the cock-faced killer's on the loose again?
Come on, everybody knows that the cock-faced killer is real. These witnesses have seen him.
He's after us, and we're naked.
Yeah, they shaded the creature shadow on certain
fetish
areas.
killer struck again.
You will feel only pain, never ever pleasure.
Why is the trailer higher definition?
Yes, to Nova 28. Yes.
So yes, to Nova 28. Yes, it is the cock-faced killer. So there's actual history here. So actually, we're gonna get before we get into it. So that was
Goregasm.
That was the trailer for Goregasm, and directed and produced by Jason Mathern, and starring Bill Heinz, Rick Kaufman, Dana Caffarelli, Valerie Lombard, Richie Roachcliffe, actual credited name, Doug Ryan, and Steve Waltz, and that's it. That's the cast. The cast doesn't want to be associated with this, I'm assuming. It's like because a lot of their names are not available anywhere online. You have to pull them directly from the film itself. But the film is, yes, as Johnny said, the film is a sequel. And this is the return of the cock-faced killer, and he shows up to kill and murder anybody who is engaged in masturbation or having sex. And so he runs around doing this, and then of course there's a secondary storyline that is going on with like this group of men-hating psychos, and it's absolutely atrocious. So I think, okay, this is how I summed this up when I was, because I got to pull this up because I want to make sure I quote it directly. Because I actually, when I was watching this, I sent Aaron, was it Aaron or no, wait. Hang on a sec. I sent Aaron a message, or sent it to I sent it to the chat, and my sum up of this film was basically like Herschel Gordon Lewis meets Guy Ritchie as written by Clive Barker and directed by John Waters with a budget of about $5,000 is how I kind of summed up this film. And it is way over the top in everything that it does. It reeks of things like pink flamingos and a number of other like really gross, like just gross films. It's a gross out, gory, sloppy, irreverent, sex fueled exploitation film. And that is essentially what Jason Mathern specializes in. Jason Mathern runs it's a Terror Optics studios in New Orleans, and these are the movies that he specializes in. This is actually the sequel. The first one was Attack of the Cock-Faced Killer. This was the sequel where the cock-faced killer returns. There's actually a third film.
Third one, yeah.
Called Grime Wave Cockface 3. So, but he's done other things like Stabbed in the Face and Silk Scream and a number of other. But this is what this group specializes in. They're based out of New Orleans. They take really low budget, really super low budget stuff, and they just go all out, balls to the walls, extreme. This movie is absolutely not for
perfect choice. Balls to the wall.
Yes, definitely balls to the wall.
Balls on everything.
It is a bit on the film is on the very extreme side. There will be some stuff that will probably make you yak, but that's what they're going for. These types of films, these types of exploitation films, are what push the boundaries. These guys are absolutely going for broke. Nothing is off limits, and it kind of makes you, at a certain point, it makes you ask the question: is it crossing the line?
Sure, absolutely. But that's the point.
This is Cinemax on a sloppy weekend in East Czechoslovakia. All right. It's basically a bunch of softcore, because I was like, this is going to be near softcore. I can't even watch it on the same floor as the kids, much less when they're awake. And I watch it, and it went from near softcore, and the near just like disappeared on it. And it's just, they have these just ridiculous scenes, and then they drop this killer in with this murderous sex toy, and just I'm
sorry, I forgot, I left that out. He beats people to death with a giant black dildo.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
We don't mean the color
giant.
Black. We mean the race black. Like,
yeah, but he has like a giant. It's like one of those giant gagged ones, and it's like, and then he'll like you saw, he broke through the wall, blah, and then just beats people to death with it. So,
but and it's this is definitely, like, we talk about niche film. This is far in the niche as you can get, because you can tell it by the music that's assigned to it, the crazy ass metal that they use, which is going to have a narrow audience. The fact that they're basically just jamming in the horror elements, and it's for a very few specific people that have a certain taste.
This definitely catered to a very, very niche group, a very niche like sub group. I was like sub genre group. I mean, I guess it's a slasher, because it has a slasher in it. But I will
slash with a sex toy.
Well, he does kill the one chick with the it just impales her head. There's so much. There's so much. Yeah, it's so absolutely. But the big part of so Little Wolf says, I'm a part of that audience. Fan-friggin-tastic. Then they're right up your alley. Their videos are available at terroroptics.com. Their videos are available for $10. Feel free, knock yourself out, because they actually have a bunch of them.
You could probably haggle them down to $2.
So, but here's an intriguing thing. What was it? York probably has the. He probably does. He probably does.
I can love this type of movies.
I didn't want Raven Darkstar. Good to see you. I didn't want to say like subhuman. I wanted to just say like this like sub genre. It's like really deep in there, really extreme stuff.
Look, I mean, there's an audience for it, obviously, because they've got shit down. This is not the only type of movie. It's not the only trilogy. There's all kinds of shit like this. People love this. Like the folks that like this stuff fucking really like it. They love this shit. And so some of it's kind of funny, some of it's not so funny, but whatever.
It's the abhorrent absurdity of it is what I think it is. Yes,
and that's what it is. It's here's a line, fuck that line. We're going to the next line, and then we're gonna fuck that line. Then when we get to the next line, we're gonna fuck that one, and just like balls to the wall, like you said, or rubbery cocks to the wall, whatever.
Well, it kind of strips out. It takes trauma. And it kind of strips out the plot even further and inserts more absurdity, and then just pushes it up to 11, so that they try to get every second as absurd and ridiculous as you can. And it does kind of have that humor value to it. But as far as horror goes, there were things about it that scared me, but not in the way that they should. Not in a wholesome fashion.
Darcy Vanberg says, no, I used to sell niche porn. This is just shit. So here, Sir Little says, you say shit like it's a bad thing. So here's the question, because I'm glad that you brought that up. Trauma. So there is a world. I mean, okay, when you look at a movie like Terra Firma, okay? And you look at a movie like this. Both films, there's no lines. There's no barriers for what we're going to address or what we're going to put on camera. There's absolutely nothing is off limits. Terra Firma had some like the raunchiest crap that I've ever seen. I mean, it went to the same lengths as this one did.
Well,
so
I thought if we're looking at Troma, Terra Firma, I thought was tame compared to Poultrygeist.
Okay, Poultrygeist. I was going to go off the fact that in Terra Firma there was a girl that masturbated with a pickle, and in this one there's a girl that masturbated with a phone.
There,
so,
yeah, okay.
I
was going to go with the fact that the opening scene of fucking Poultrygeist has a guy getting his dick ripped out from his asshole, but whatever.
This is true. So looking at it from this perspective, but there is obviously something that separates Troma from this. Because both have comedic elements, both have slasher elements, both are essentially they're horror comedy films, both are sexploitative, both have gratuitous amounts of nudity, gratuitous amounts of sex, way over the top gory violence. But what is the difference between these two? What separates
Lloyd Kaufman
is the Kaufman effect.
Yes.
It pursues theme and plot, even if it's ridiculous.
Right.
Whereas these are just slapped together elements that get to an eventual point.
This film looks like I saw a Lloyd Kaufman film. I saw a Troma film. I'm going to try and do that, but I'm only going to do the things that I liked from the Troma film, and I'm going to make those even more over the top. They didn't understand that there was a subplot and a plot and whatnot that was followed.
There's also commentary. There's also commentary in Kaufman films.
Right, exactly. This guy, these people, they see this and like, oh, I'm just going to make something that's absurd and as grotesque as possible, and we're going to see if we can offend people. Fine, but it's not very good.
So, I mean, I know that my co-hosts are traumatized for having watched this thing. So,
I was just looking up the book by Lloyd Kaufman. I could not remember the name, and I think it's Make Your Own Damn Movie. I read it forever ago.
Yep.
People don't realize like how brilliant Kaufman is because he works on a budget. He knows what his audience wants, and he goes for it, but he does it his own way. There's a lot intellectually that's actually going on there, whereas this film, I somehow highly doubt that because it's another this is funny. Let's find a place for it in the script. Oh, this is funny. Let's do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do some poop jokes. Let's, that we're going to do this sex act. We're going to use this toy. And it's banged together. And then they kind of strap on.
The throwing
a plot.
Plug. Yeah.
The ninja star.
Yeah. Let's throw that in there. Fuck.
I will admit there were actually some lines in this that actually got me. There were some funny there were some moments that actually got a couple of laughs. Apparently, Brave Dark says, "You kidding, jail? All of us are traumatized." Absolutely. But the big thing about in this one is that, and also not just to mention the learning experience, because the logistics of extreme gore horror are actually really, really complicated. As silly as the movie is, and as cheap as it comes off, pulling off a lot of the stuff that they do in this film, a lot of the gore effects and like that, requires a lot of effort and is actually really, really difficult. And because those practical effects take time, they take effort, and sometimes they don't really work out as well as you want.
And really quick to interject on that point, that's one thing that Lloyd Kaufman has that a lot of these other people don't, is he'll have like oh god, I see his face, I can't think of his name. One of the best special effects artists in the fucking planet. Tom Savini. He'll have a Tom Savini visit his set and work a day on his set getting his special effects done.
Just to do, and of course
because it's a Troma film and he loves Troma film.
And there are big names where like James Gunn came up underneath him, Jim Ojala came up underneath him. So there are many names that worked up underneath Lloyd Kaufman because they recognize what he brings to the genre. What I think separates the difference between a Kaufman film is obviously the Kaufman effect, is because Kaufman has a very, very strong awareness of what is topically relevant at the time and the commentary that makes for a good comedy. So essentially, it's Kaufman's way of doing stand-up comedy in the most irreverent way possible, and then centering all of that stand-up comedy in a totally absurd, sexploitative, overtly grotesque and gross environment, no matter what he's talking about. because there's relevancy there. That's what separates the two.
Right.
This one particularly is just to satisfy a very, very small niche of horror fans, but they get it because it's got some comedy in it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the killer's walking around with this goofy-ass mask with a big, strap-on hanging off of his face. And it's just totally ridiculous. So you watch this for a particular fact. I watched this one, and what I came across was the extreme nature of what they were doing. I saw this film from a logistic standpoint. And imagine that a movie like this, the other movies that he does as well, the other films that Terror Optics have created, logistically are actually really, really difficult. Because some of the stuff they pull off in this is actually kind of dangerous. I don't know if this director has the same kind of rule on his sets that Kaufman does, where safety always comes first. Some of the stuff that they pull off that they do in this movie is actually really, really difficult. Having an actor go through a wall, no matter how you do it, is always a dangerous proposition. Striking actors with objects is always a dangerous proposition. And there were some scenes in this where
Farley.
Yes. And there are some scenes in this where people are getting struck with, they're sex objects, and it's funny, but these are dangerous things. The logistics.
You ever been hit by a dildo? That shit fucking hurts. Don't ask me how I know.
That's what I found really, really intriguing, was actually picking apart the movie as I was watching, because there's really no plot to really center on. And I say, okay, irreverent joke. I know trauma and you're no trauma. But it's like, holy crap. What they were willing to do, this was almost like watching extreme wrestling. Like the really hardcore shit.
Backyard stuff.
Like the backyard stuff, like people like jumping onto barbed wire and hitting each other with 2x4s that are covered in barbed wire, or jumping onto like throwing thumbtacks all over the deal. Like extreme, some of the stuff you get out of Japan, like those extreme Japanese shit.
Yeah. Stuff we used to do in our childhood. What?
That explains a lot.
Doesn't it?
And for Aaron, too. So the takeaway I had on this one was, like, while it does serve kind of a small purpose, what is really fantastic is you can see what exactly you can accomplish as both a kind of, what I think, and I would love to be able to chat with the director, with Jason, and actually talk about his production process and how they pull off some of the stuff that they do, because how they did it is like, I could imagine it was like pure guerrilla filmmaking, and just finding people who are just willing to Oh, I shouldn't say that. That's a bad. Actors who are willing to take a shot in the mouth.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, because
I'm not wrong.
Good.
Imagine
Aaron.
some of it's because they're working with smaller casts. That, if you notice, most of the time when they get into the rough stuff, it's one or two, maybe three people on set at a time. Whereas Kaufman's driving a car into a building and stuff. That's probably part of it, but on that budget, your minimal safety measures at best.
Right.
Like OSHA would have a nightmare.
So, given the level of gore and extreme nature of this movie, there's obviously a lot of sexploitation in it, but it was obviously a very gory film. And I actually was laughing my ass off when the couple having sex in the sex shop. For no reason. They're just there. They're like our mascots. That shit was hilarious. Yeah. It's like, because the guy, it was perfectly done. See, it's little moments of brilliance like that, where the guy walks up, is like, "What, man, this store is crazy. And what's with the people fucking over there?" And then the camera pans over, and there's two people literally having sex right there on the counter. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know, man. They're just in here always fucking. I think they're like our mascots or something." And it's like, and then the camera pulls back just like it's an everyday thing. And then it comes back later when the place is closed, and they're still having sex in the store. And then the killer walks in, and all the action is going on in the background of as he's setting up, pulling out his chainsaw, and getting everything ready. So there's a lot of really kind of genius little moments that come across really funny. But given the level of extreme violence, given the level of gore, given the level of what they do in this one, I have to ask the audience, what is the goriest film, or goriest and most sexploitative film, the most extreme horror film that you've ever seen? Put it down there in the live chat, or down in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com. I'd like to see what people come up with. Darcy Vanberg says, unnecessary gratuitous sex just screams quality film.
Yeah. Poltergeist has to be.
Poltergeist.
Like I said, when you open up ripping somebody's penis out from his asshole. Then
That's
pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Guess you gotta get there somehow.
So, Aaron, take us home. We're a little elevated. A little elevated on this one. We're gonna go out on a little bit of a higher note. Oh, and Anna says, "Will he walk in the chocolate factory?"
To wash the taste of that out of our mouths, from November 5th, 1999, we have The Bone Collector. With a trailer that doesn't have a dildo shirt in it.
Stay back until I work the crime scene, okay?
Detective Lincoln Rhyme was New York City's leading forensic cop. Until an accident disabled his body and destroyed his spirit.
9286.
Now, a killer with no mercy.
You heard about that couple that got in a taxi?
Cobra Kai.
Never made it home? Found him dead, buried, hands sticking out of the ground with his wife's diamond wedding band shoved on one of his fingers.
And a patrol officer
We got Officer Donahue here to thank for photographing the crucial evidence.
will give him a reason to live.
I want you to work the case with us.
Forensics is not my area.
Are you being modest, or are you a little uneasy about doing some real police work?
He needs her to go where he can't.
Just tell me what to do next.
We don't want to disturb any footprints he might have left.
I can't do this.
Yes, you can. I'm with you every step of the way.
She needs him to interpret the clues.
Lincoln, I found a map of some kind.
Put what you got up on my screen. This crime scene was staged. There's no question the perp knows forensics.
Before the next victim is chosen.
Hey, I got a bad feeling about this.
Doesn't that kind of look like a face?
Third piece of the puzzle. She's going to be near or in the Woolworth building.
Someone's in there. She's crying.
The perp could still be in there, for God's sake. I gave you so many clues, and you failed.
There's a killer out there. He's laughing at us.
I want this son of a bitch so bad.
Some people win, some people lose. The game is over.
Amelia?
Oh, God.
The Bone Collector.
Man, the trailer gives a lot away.
It actually does.
Yeah. I forgot how expository that trailer was.
All right, so directed by Philip Noyce.
Noyce.
Written by
Noyce.
Jeremy Iacone, based on the book by Jeffrey Deaver, and starring Michael McGlone, Luis Guzman, Leland Orser, Queen Latifah, Michael Rooker, Ed O'Neill, Angelina Jolie, and Denzel Washington. It is, as the trailer said, a story of an injured, essentially paralyzed forensic analyst that recruits a patrol officer played by Angelina Jolie to help him with the investigations because she has the instinct to do it. She says eyes and ears on the ground, going into the scenes and feeding everything to him through photo and video. And there is a killer that is leaving clues for police haunting him, and they're attempting to hunt him down. And yeah, the trailer pretty much.
The trailer does kind of give it away. Not to mention the fact that unfortunately this movie came out in '99, so it's 3 years after Scream, and the killer's voice is actually in the trailer. So which is kind of just like, it was like, come on, guys,
Unmodified.
Yeah, right.
Unmodified as well. So okay, I'll say this: it'd been a long time since I watched this movie, and it was really, really nice to go back. And yes, okay, so this is, before we dive into what we're going to talk about, because I know that character-driven horror, which is what this is some of the best stuff that's out there, even if it's a book adaptation, which does have its own limitations. But Gosh of Hackfire brings up an interesting question in the live chat. Is this horror or is this thriller? Also, is there a difference? And I would say that this is a horror film because of the elements that surround the killer and the method in which the killer is dispatching his victims.
Here's
and of course,
difference.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
No. I want to hear what you think.
I was just going to say that the difference between horror and thriller is whether or not Hollywood wants to promote it or not. At the time, like now, they're within the past 15, maybe 20 years, they've been a little bit more open to promoting horror films. But at the time, like Silence of the Lambs is a fucking horror film. Okay,
Yes.
you got a dude eating other people. You got a dude fucking wearing other people's as skin. Okay, it is a horror film, but you find it in the thriller section. Why? Because Hollywood wanted to push it because it was, oh my goodness, I just been fucking spaced on the director. I can't believe I can't remember the director of fucking Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, Brian De Palma.
Brian De Palma. Fucking hell. Anyway, the casting in it, right? So you generally don't see like, hey, Denzel Washington, we want you to do this horror movie where you are being chased by essentially a demon, and the demon passes through touch and kills your brother and kills your family and kills your partner and kills this people and kills that people and all these different kind of creative ways. Horror film, come on, man. I don't want to do a horror film. I'm beyond that. That's where you start your career. That's not where you finish your career.
Right.
Right? Well, but now if it's a thriller, oh, yeah, I'll do Fallen. Sure, I'll do that movie. It sounds awesome because it's a thriller.
Because Fallen was a horror film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about demon possession. Yes, it was a horror film, but it's packaged
an unstoppable killer that,
yes.
you know.
And there's a cat, and there's a fucking cat in there. God, it's a horror film.
So I would say because of the elements of the film, and yeah, I would agree with Johnny on that. So depending upon whether or not Hollywood wants to promote the film and whether or not the studio says if we market this as this particular movie, that as a particular type of film that we can make money off of it.
Right.
Saying that Denzel Washington is a horror film and Angelina Jolie is in a horror film that might not play, but say, oh, it's a thriller based on the crime novel by this guy. It literally, the book in itself is a crime horror novel because it centers around this serial killer that is literally killing his victims in gruesome ways and cutting bones out of their bodies.
Right.
So
you've got all these subcategories that we talk about all the time for horror. You've got horror comedies. You've got my mind just went like sci-fi horror. I mean, you've got a ton of them. Thriller is just a more acceptable name for mystery horror because that is almost completely what it is composed of, is where they've taken horror elements, they've added a mystery to kind of quote unquote elevate it because mysteries running down from Sherlock Holmes have had a better rep.
Right.
And they've slapped a title on it and they've given a separate section. If you look at how small that collection is, except for certain areas they had a boom, it doesn't need its own category. It's not like it's an outstretch of drama or anything else. It is a subcategory of horror. That's my opinion anyway.
Definitely. And I will say that especially after the other films of watching the other movies that we had this week, it's always really, really nice to go back to character-driven horror, especially when you have extraordinarily talented individuals like Denzel Washington and Angelina Jolie. And I like this because some people, you look at Angelina Jolie's career to be like, well, she's kind of become like, she has this kind of like air about her, but this was back before she had exploded into what she was.
Still a good actress. She's always
still a fantastic actress.
Yeah, she's been.
Does she get the opportunities to, or does she really grab the opportunities? I mean, she's got kids. She has a life. She does production. She does
she's
a lot
over
of
40. That's what happened to Angelina Jolie. Unfortunately, I hate to fucking say it, but it's true. If you look at actresses over the age of 35, they're being fucking replaced by younger.
That's true.
Younger women, and it's kind of a shame because, I mean, Meryl Streep is generally considered one of the greatest actresses of her time. It was probably over the past 50 years. What was the last thing you saw her in? When was the last time you saw her in a romantic comedy?
Right. And that's what I dug about this one. It was nice to see actors, especially really, really talented actors and talented character actors, because Louis Guzman is in this one, Ed O'Neill's in it, Michael Rooker's in it, this is Queen Latifah, everyone in this, Leland Orser, everyone in this was solid. And I love it when talented casts come together to tell a really compelling story that doesn't come off with like particularly cheesy moments. And it works because everybody works well together, because nobody in this film at the time that the film was made in 1999 had really exploded to the degree, except maybe Denzel. Denzel was the big name there, so everybody recognized that name. But you got a lot of people who are character actors, like you said, B actors, who typically were just characters that popped up every once in a while. You recognize them. Some of them were still doing TV a lot. And so I loved going back and getting to see the real effort coming through and to tell the story and the real work as actors being done, especially from Angelina Jolie, who got me with the range that she displayed in the film and her chemistry with Denzel Washington. I was
she was good.
That is the fucking work right there. And it's nice to get that reminder that she does have that level of talent. So this one just warmed my heart going back and watching it. Plus, it's a nice little thriller. It's a compelling story. And I'm bummed that it did as poorly as it did at the box office. I think it's because people kind of reacted like, that's not Denzel. Denzel in a dark movie like that? No way. But Denzel's the kind of guy who will take those kinds of risks and go out and do a movie and be like, yeah, I'm gonna kind of like break the stereotype and do something a little bit different. Like, I would say like in John Q or in Out of Time or Fallen. So, but that's the beauty of character-driven horror, of individuals who are characters we can really, really identify with, which I thought was which I thought was really, really nice. And it goes to show how, despite the limitations of being adapted from a book, which is always difficult, this was the first in, I think, a series of 9 or 10 books that have focused on Denzel Washington's character, the quadriplegic forensics guy, but or the criminologist, the quadriplegic criminologist. But I loved how the actors themselves were able to transform the material and make it work, because book adaptations are always really, really difficult. So that was the wonderful takeaway on this. Not to mention it's beautifully shot. I love those shots of old school New York. The cinematography was on point. So many good elements coming together.
Well, in a lot of ways, there were a whole slew of films that were kind of in the vein of this at the time, and I'd have to look it up. I didn't even think of it until now, where maybe this was towards the end of that run, so it was less popular. That might have affected it, but they were, these same kinds of mysteries. Kiss the Girls, as an example. Where they're chasing a killer, dropping clues and stuff. So it is somewhat predictable in that regard. It does have some interesting twists and stuff like that, but the thing that really pushes it is the characters. How they interact with each other, the fact they're believable. They really pull you in to experience this vicariously through them. So it's not just this boring, locational procedural. That is honestly the thing that really saves it from mediocrity, at least for me.
I like this one because I saw this one way back when I was old, and
yes, we are old in that respect. I remember seeing this one in theaters.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it because, again, it's more nostalgia for me. Because I want to say the thing that I saw. What was it? There was a Denzel film that I saw right before this one, or right around the same time, and I always remember them together. But they're two diametrically different films. One is this horror film, and one is a drama film, a war drama, but whatever. I saw them both in theater.
We're talking about Crimson Tide?
No. Oh, fuck me. I can't remember. My memory has been not the best.
Oh, how did I forget Man on Fire? Oh, yeah.
Man on Fire is a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. Is it the one where he's a military investigator?
Yeah, golly. Courage Under Fire. Fuck me.
Courage Under Fire, yes.
Yeah, gosh.
Brain don't work right. Won't go home.
So the wild thing on this, with so many elements coming together, it bummed me out looking back, because I was like, why didn't this movie do as well as it did? And of course, the approval rating on this one is actually worse than Slaughterhouse Rulez. It's literally only 29%. People really didn't dig it. In fact, the reviews on it were bad. I think the Seattle Post-Intelligencer described it as having the characteristics of a bad slasher movie and called the plot preposterous. And ultimately, people couldn't. I think it was almost like these critics. Roger Ebert just completely. It was like he praised the performances. Obviously, the performances were fantastic, but then attacked everything else about it. Is that my dog or your dog?
Both, I think. Started out as my dog and then ended with yours.
And it's such a shame that a film like this didn't get the press or didn't get the attention that it deserves, because it's such an excellent film. It goes up there with, like, you know, Kiss the Girls, with the Alex Cross films. You know, with Alex Cross played by Morgan Freeman.
Kiss the Girls was good, but Along Came a Spider I thought was
also really good, yes.
much better. Not for any reason other than I just thought the story was better.
Well, even Along Came Spider got fairly low scores, but it looks like, yeah, looking at the timeline, because Along Came Spider was 2001, it didn't do great. 7, I think, was the one that really kicked this off, the success of this whole, you know, this type of movie, a sub genre, and it was 95. Yeah, so I think that's probably what hurt it the most, is people had their fill with anything like this, so they just never gave it a chance.
Donnie does this, says, I don't know why, but the big villain reveal twist in this never really felt as pow as it should. A little bit underwhelming. And I actually would kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
I would kind of agree
They
with
should
that.
have involved him more in the plot line beforehand, kind of endeared us a little to him instead of just having him there. It's either that or he's in the background constantly and you don't realize it until the end, and then bang. But you got to lean heavy in one direction or the other.
Right. But definitely give it an opportunity, or take the opportunity to go back and watch this one. For anybody who hasn't seen it yet or hasn't had the opportunity, it's available on streaming, and it's a fun popcorn flick, a good little like horror whodunit with some really, really solid elements, well shot, you know, captured New York beautifully, and of course fantastically acted by a entire everyone in there. It was a fantastic ensemble. So I just wish it had done a little bit better and got a little bit more play. Maybe they didn't market it as much as they should have, but this is an example of really, really of just solid all-around filmmaking, you know, and is a great little landmark in the early careers of Angelina Jolie, when some people were trying to break out. Some great character actors show up. Louis Guzman obviously is getting a lot of press now because he's playing Gomez in the new Wednesday that's coming out on Netflix. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, because all of these indelible. There's a reason we love these characters. A reason we love it when they show up.
He's so veiny.
Yeah, I love Luis Guzman. I haven't seen anything of his I didn't like.
Definitely one of our favorite Guzmans.
Oh, jeez.
All right. So the question we've got for the audience: what is your favorite horror book adaptation? Same as always. Let us know in the comments. You can or live chat or email us at weekinhorror@gmail.com. That's a big ass category, man.
I tell you, one that really aggravated me was that new adaptation of Turn of the Screw. That really pissed me off. Given who was in it, that should have been solid, but that one just dropped the ball. The new one with Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah,
it is like, God, it was just like, come on.
I haven't got it yet.
Is that the one The Innocents was based on originally?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't remake that.
Ooh, Sarcasm says Misery.
That's solid choice.
Yeah, that was solid.
Oh, Cemetery. Ooh.
Ooh.
Lawnmower Man.
Shut the fuck up. And
Andy says, like the Dark Tower, man.
And Andy says, I don't read.
I don't know what this reading thing you guys are talking about, but it sounds like it gives me a headache.
Let's see. Johnny, it is trivia time. It's that time. Coming down to it. And tonight we are giving away a Week in Horror pint glass. All right. So, Johnny with the trivia question. The first person in the live chat to get this one correct wins an official Week in Horror pint glass. The last one we're going to do, this is the last trivia question for October. And then we're officially in turkey season, but not before we get the end of spooky season. And I see you there, Megan. Thanks so much for popping in. Good to see you. Who Loved Christine? Silence of the Lambs. Excellent. Yes. The Mist. And The Shining. Oh, excellent choices. Thank you, Sarah Vellis. Oh, Megan says It as well. A lot of Stephen King.
A lot as well. He's either really good or really bad when you make a movie out of his books.
Mm-hmm. All right, so take it away, Johnny. Trivia question for tonight. And
all right.
We got the live chat up, right?
Yep.
Yes, fantastic.
I've got it up, yeah. I'm good to go.
Whoa. All right, so here's tonight's trivia question. What is 2 + 2? You muted yourself. You did it yourself. I'm kidding. That's not a true question. Simon Pegg cameoed as a zombie in what 2005 film? That's Simon Pegg had a cameo as a zombie in what 2005 film?
First
When I
answer in
first
the
saw
live
the
chat.
question, when I first saw the question, I thought it said canoed. I'm like, what the fuck kind of question is that?
Who canoodled?
I know. I think those people have got those Google fingers going.
Yep.
Who's got the Google food tonight?
And the George said it's close.
Zombie deathmatch. Unfortunately not.
Sir Little Wolf.
Sir Little Wolf.
Yep, there we go. Sir Little Wolf for the win.
All right, got you down, Sir Little Wolf. Congratulations. Wrote it in the nose name, coming right in behind him with Land of the Dead. It was. Simon Pegg cameoed as a zombie in George Romero's Land of the Dead back in 2005.
Bark, 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 bark.
They're fans of it, evidently.
Oh, and the George says, Google, you failed me. But yes, he was the zombie. He was one of the zombies in the photo booth scene. It was like, get your picture taken with a zombie, and he was one of the ones, I think he was the one on the who was screen left in that particular one. So, congratulations, Sir Little Wolf. We'll get that printed out and sent to you. Way to go. And that's going to be it. That is going to bring another episode of Week in Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening, and we truly hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next week when we look back at the off-genre horror 9 Dead, the vicarious horror comedy Mayhem, the legendary Fulci surrealistic classic The Beyond, and the legend-studded slasher Alone in the Dark. That's the 1982 one, not the Ube Bowl one. So, the good slasher one. I know he was about to just run out of the room. Remember to cast your votes for me, JL, to be the first face of horror using the link provided down in the description, and of course there in the live chat.
Horror. That was terrible.
The first face of horror.
So terrible the way you said it. Like you're the first. Like you're gonna walk around all.
Like,
Dude, we're not gonna have enough room for his head when he's done.
I promise. If I win this thing, it will not go to my head. I promise.
Right through that.
All right, and a massive shout out goes out to all of our amazing patrons whose names you can see there in the banner below, who continue to help us make Week in Horror the incredible success that it has become. We thank you all so very, very much. We love you for all the support. And if you like to check that out, www.patreon.com/weekinhorror. A massive shout out to all of our amazing patrons. Oh, sorry, Joshua Olsen does all of our amazing artwork for the show, and his designs are absolutely incredible. He's got some new stuff up in the store, so check it out.
Time out from the game. What? No, Russell, we will not be voting for you. Good luck to you, though.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. We were just doing the outro. So, hang on a sec.
Good to see you over here. And again, we're having a little fun with you. Please don't take what I said personal. I'm just
Russell Coker.
You got comedy in your name, so I gotta go there.
Russell Coker has joined the live chat. Good to see you, bud. Man, this is a bit of a these rounds. I think we can agree on this. These rounds are a bit of a slobber knocker. They absolutely are. Whoo! Every time I check, it's like, but you know, I'm gonna win.
We could have
but nonetheless, it's an absolute blast. It absolutely is. I've checked out. I've managed to I located your IMDb. The films you've worked on are really, really cool. So it is awesome to be in a competition with you. It is absolutely fantastic. So and I wish you. Yes, we absolutely will see. And I wish you the absolute best in the future of your career, wherever your career takes you. I wish you the absolute best. It's awesome that you popped by to check out the show. So really amazing stuff. So really, really, I wish you all the success in the world. I really do. But I'm gonna win. So
just not this.
Josh. So Josh Olsen does all of the amazing artwork for the show, and his designs are incredible. Obviously, he's got some brand new stuff up there in the shop. He's done some. I think he did a really, really cool one that was shit. I just saw him do because he uploads the artwork on his Facebook page. And the animations of him drawing it. Yeah. But he's got some really cool stuff. Check that out at badsamurai.store. So really good selection there. And of course, for more horror fun, Be sure to check us out on all of the socials where you can get daily horror posts. Absolutely blast. I'm totally thrown off from the script by Russell popping into the goddamn live chat. That's fucking Russell. Amazing. The face of Denova28, the face of it's about to go down. Oh man, be sure to combat the evil algorithm by dropping a comment, liking, subscribing, and smashing the living fuck out of that bell. And lastly, if you love what we do here and would like and are able to support our production, you can by joining and enjoying the tasty benefits of one of our many Patreon tiers. For as low as $1 a month, you can help to support the show. But if Patreon is not your favorite stocking method, you can always support us directly through our PayPal. We do appreciate those that do. And remember, the goal here at Week in Horror is obviously global horror domination, and to make me the next face of horror. But we can't do it without you, our amazing audience, so pretty please, with the severed infested head of Clint Howard on top, go and share the absolute fuck out of our little show. Thank you all so much for being the greatest audience a little podcast could have. I am JL.
I am Aaron.
And I'm some fat guy.
We will see you all next week. Best of luck to you, Russell. He totally fucking threw me off. We will see you all next week. Have a happy Halloween, and as always, stay scared.
Good night, Playboys.